Hello and welcome. This is One Voice here on Asia One with me, Craig Vermay. In today's show, Pakistan says it is intensifying its war against terrorism along its western border. Security forces have stepped up intelligence-led operations against the TTP terror cells following a series of cross-border attacks. While political leaders have reaffirmed their commitment to eliminating terror networks, Islamabad maintains that many TTP terrorists continue to operate from safe havens inside Afghanistan and has repeatedly urged Afghan Taliban to honour their commitment not to allow Afghan territory to be used for attacks against neighbouring countries. Pakistan argues that Kabul has failed to take meaningful action against these groups, while the Taliban interim government insists they do not permit cross-border terrorism. Afghanistan's repeated failure to do anything meaningful to stop the violence has fueled military tension, cross-border strikes and diplomatic friction, despite repeated calls for dialogue by Pakistan and efforts to prevent a wider conflict. Pakistan says it remains open to cooperation with the Afghan Taliban interim government, but insists lasting peace will only be possible if terror groups are denied sanctuary and freedom of movement. The challenge for Islamabad is balancing military pressure with diplomacy while avoiding a broader confrontation with Afghanistan. The question now is whether stronger counter-terrorism operations and renewed diplomatic engagement can finally reduce the cross-border threat, or whether the conflict is entering another prolonged and dangerous phase. To look at that with me is Hassan Khan, security and political analyst. So Hassan, how serious is the terror threat from across the border into Pakistan currently?
Thank you very much. I think this is no doubt a serious question for Pakistan for the last, I think, more than several years. When the Taliban took over Kabul, since then we see that there is a huge escalation in cross-border attack inside Pakistan. But recently, Pakistan has taken certain punitive measures like closing the border, suspending the trade, suspending the transit trade, and even stopping issuing visas to the Afghan national, irrespective of their status and positions, etc. Pakistan's only and the major demand from Taliban is to stop the militants, especially the TTP and other terrorist networks, using the Afghan soil against Pakistan. But unfortunately, despite the fact that a few days back, the UN Acting Secretary General, he also pointed it out that Afghans used by Al-Qaeda, ISK, and particularly the most active group is the TTP, which is using the Afghan soil for cross-border attack on Pakistan. However, Taliban are in continuous denial, and I think that is costing Taliban the most. Currently, Afghanistan is going through a major, I think, a huge, there's the poverty, the unemployment, businessmen are facing problems, etc. But unfortunately, Afghan Taliban, they are what I will use the word stubborn for them. They are neither listening to the international community, not to the friends. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar, and Chinese have tried their level best to convince them to cooperate with Pakistan vis-a-vis stopping these terrorists from crossing the border. Because if Taliban has the capacity issue, if they can't, I think, man the entire border, regional neighbors of Afghanistan, they are ready to cooperate with the Taliban. But unfortunately, it's not the capacity issue; it is the issue of the will. Talibans are not ready to wean themselves away from these terrorist networks, which they are using as a currency, I think, as an end to influence the regional countries. So that is the biggest challenge for Pakistan, not only to face these cross-border attacks, but also the attitude of Taliban's, their stubbornness, their what we call it, their false arrogance, that instead of cooperating with Pakistan, they are accusing, they are, I think, a counter accusation against Pakistan and accusing Pakistan for harboring ISIS-K against Afghanistan.
So what's driving the current spate of attacks across the border? Why is this happening?
Yeah, I think this is a very complex issue, Craig. You know that yes, Afghanistan is a problem. The Taliban's attitude is a problem. They have a permissive environment for all these terror groups. You know, Pakistan, Afghanistan have the longest border, almost 2,600 plus kilometers. So for Pakistan, it is, I think, humanly not possible to plug all the entire border and stop these terrorists from crossing here. On the other side, I think internally too, Pakistan has been facing certain challenges, and that is, you know, the province of Balochistan. It is, I think, it is geographically, it is the biggest province of Afghanistan, and then we have the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, which the border with Afghanistan. You know, it is its terrain is very difficult. It is forested at a number of places. It is hugely forested, foliaged, deep valleys, difficult mountains. So I think one is these physical challenges. And the other challenge, you know, Pakistan believe that the Afghans nationals who still in Pakistan, according to the UNHCR report, are more than 1.5 million Afghans are still in Pakistan, despite the fact that Pakistan has deported 2.5 million during the last 2+ years. That is a major challenge I think Pakistan is still facing. And another, I think, such a largely anti-terror operations along the 2,600 kilometers border for Pakistan. Financially, I think it is very costly, you know, and Pakistan has also the challenge of its eastern border. So Pakistan seems to be at the moment sandwiched between the eastern border and the western border. On both sides, we see the hostile regimes. I will use the word, especially for the Taliban regime, and then the India is also using Afghan land against Pakistan, harboring, financing, and I think providing all the material sources to these terror organizations. So it's not only the Taliban. Pakistan is also facing, it is one border, two major enemies. One is the Taliban and the other is the Indian, and they are using these non-state actors, these militants. And it's not only the religious, like the TTP, they claims to be driven by a religious, what you call it, narratives. On the other side, we have the Baloch terrorist or militants, especially the BLA, the BLF, who claims to be fighting for the rights of Balochistan, and unfortunately killing the Baloch people and the Baloch intelligentsia also. So I think Pakistan at the moment is facing multiple challenges, and the biggest one is from the Afghan side. Despite the fact, you know, at the moment Pakistan has severed its relation with Taliban's, no trade, no transit trade, no communications at the moment. So that is also, I think, Pakistan has done, has taken all the punitive measures which were possible against. And you know, then Pakistan also conducted across the border airstrike at militant hideouts and the support infrastructure, which was providing support in a way to these militant organizations. But unfortunately, Taliban's have no, what we call it, neither they have any love or interest for the people of Afghanistan, for the land of Afghanistan. Their only interest is to support their ideological brothers. Their agenda is, I think, to continue this concept of what they call it jihad. And after Afghanistan, now they are focused on Pakistan. So Pakistan is, I think, in a way, as I use the word, currently it is sandwiched and is facing this Hydra-headed threat from the multiple angles.
Mm-hmm. Stay with me, Hassan. You're watching One Voice here on Asia One. With me, Craig Vermay. Today, I'm looking at how Pakistan has intensified counter-terrorism operations as attacks by the TTP continue along the Afghan border. Islamabad says lasting security depends on the Afghan Taliban interim government preventing terrorists from using Afghan territory to launch border attacks. Much more to come. You're watching One Voice here on Asia One with me, Craig Vermay. Today, I'm looking at cross-border terrorism and how it remains one of Pakistan's biggest security challenges. Despite repeated diplomatic engagement with Kabul, the Afghan Taliban deny providing safe havens, but the issue continues to drive tensions between two neighbours. To help me understand what is happening and why it matters is Hassan Khan, security and political analyst. You said there that a big problem is the terrain, the mountainous terrain, the forested area, which makes it hard for Pakistan to police. So what more should Afghanistan be doing in this area to counteract the TTP?
I think first, Afghan Taliban must, I think, wean themselves away from the TTP. At the moment, as I said, they are using it as a currency against Pakistan. And even it's not only the TTP, they are harboring the ETIM, they are harboring the IMU, the Ansar al-Islam, the Al-Qaeda, and the others, a motley of terrorist networks. They are using the Afghan soil due to the Taliban's the provision of a permissive environment on Afghan land. So first thing Taliban's to do is to show a willingness that they are serious in supporting Pakistan in these efforts, and at least publicly they announce their separation from the TTP. One. Two, I think definitely, as I said, for Pakistan alone, policing this entire border is almost not possible. So if Taliban also support Pakistan, stop these cross-border infiltrations, and how can I think expecting from Taliban to stop these terrorists from crossing the border will be too naive for us. The reason is they are supporting them to cross the border. They are what Pakistan was targeting in the airstrike. Were targeting the support infrastructure. And what was that support infrastructure? These militants network are using the same post, the same arms, the same weapons, and the same, I think, ammunitions depots which Taliban are using. So in a way, expecting from Taliban that they will share with Pakistan any intelligence regarding the cross-border, the crossing of border by these terrorist network, or they will main the border and they will support Pakistan. If Pakistan has, let's say, 50 posts, Taliban will have 20 posts. So I think expecting that from them, are even stopping by force the TTP from crossing the border. I think that will be too naive. But lately, there were certain reports, especially coming from the Kunar province, where we have heard that Taliban have asked the TTP militants to take their camps away from the Kunar province. If the news are correct, so far not verified, so far not confirmed by Taliban, but if such news are correct, it means that Talibans are gradually showing the willingness. But as I said, these are not confirmed, these are not verified. If such actions are taken, if the TTP camps, their hideouts, their what you call it, they are taken away from the Pakistani borders to north or western parts of Afghanistan. So at least that will reduce the pressure on the Pakistani border guard. But again, I will repeat here to say that expecting from Taliban that they will cooperate with Pakistan, which they have not done for the last 5 years, despite the fact that Pakistan have done too much. Even Pakistan supported these Taliban at the cost of its image, but so far they have not supported Pakistan. Expecting now, I think, that they will extend any support to Pakistan will be, I think, will be too naive, and we need to rethink over this such sort of expectation from them.
So you said there that where the TTP are getting their arms from. But it costs money to run a terror cell and perform attacks on neighbouring countries. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, I think this is a very, I think, pertinent question. That because it costs a lot. You know that recently the TTP has been armed with the most sophisticated weapons, with the most sophisticated communication systems, with the most sophisticated military gears, etc. And I think their families are being properly fed and properly raised. Their kids are being properly taken care of. So definitely it needs a lot of money. So we can't say that these monies, I think they are by the people, what we call it, coming from the local people, or maybe coming from the ransom, etc. But no, there are, as I said, India has publicly, especially Ajit Doval, has publicly said that instead of directly attacking Pakistan, costing the Indian military or their personnel, so why not use the Taliban against them? And you might have heard a statement saying that if Pakistan pay them 500, we will pay them $1,500 per month, so they will work for us. So I think, you know, that India is doing a double sort of game. It has got too closer to the Taliban militia. You know, at the moment, it is only India which is very close in supporting Taliban in a way, in providing material support to them. And these, you know, the terror infrastructure which India has raised and installed in Afghanistan, it was done in the previous 20 years of the Republic during the Republic era. So I think they have reactivated it. Now they are not only financing these terror networks, they are also financing their masters, their benefactors, and that is the Afghan Taliban. So I think the major amount is coming from India. There is no doubt in it. And the Indian leadership have time and again accepted this fact that they will be supporting to bleed Pakistan from the Western side.
So what did you think when you saw the statements coming out of Afghanistan in the last week or so, where they said, the Taliban said, India is our blood, India are our brothers?
I think it seemed to be a very ridiculous statement. If you look at the Indian history of engagement with the Afghans, they have betrayed the communist, the socialist regime of Dr. Najib, and you know, they have betrayed Dr. Ashraf Ghani, and they have never been. The reason is, Indians are, these Afghans only knew the real Indian character in their psyche once they are off the government or of the chair of the power. You know, they were very close to the socialist or the communist regime of Dr. Najibullah. But the day Dr. Najib government fall, Indians just shut up their doors and even canceled their visa. Indians were very close to Dr. Ashraf Ghani and President Karzai. But the day the government fall, you know, they even canceled the visas for the Afghan students and their officials, and they were refused. And the same will be done with the Afghan Taliban. India are getting closer to Afghanistan just for the enmity or for the hate of Pakistan. That's the only reason. So I think these Taliban will realize it once they are off the power. At the moment, they are just doing it to get, I think, in a sort of to pressurize Pakistan, that if Pakistan is continuing with the current policy of these punitive actions which were already taken, if Pakistan is continuing with it, India, they will get closer to India. And the Afghans have a psyche. They have a mindset, whether they are communist, whether they are mujahid, whether they are Talib, whether they are Democrats, that they have a psyche that if you want to pressure Pakistan, if you want to milk Pakistan, so you have to get close to the Indian, and then Pakistan will come and request you type of things like it. But this time, I think they need to realize that Pakistan has taken a principal decision, and the principal decision is Pakistan will not establish normal relations with the Taliban regime.
So I want to
Neither
ask you about
Pakistan-
that. I want to ask you about that because since I've been in Pakistan a year ago, I know that Pakistan have reached out to the Taliban interim government, tried to work with diplomacy, and why is that not working for the Taliban?
Yeah, I think, Pakistan foreign minister visited Afghanistan almost 5 times, the Pakistan interior minister, the Pakistan defense ministers, and Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan conducted more than dozens of visits. Pakistan has also, in the initial days, lobbied for Afghan Taliban in the international community. And, then many people were coming to Kabul, and even the Kabul, Amir Khan Muttaqi were every month he was out somewhere in China and in other countries, and they were adjusted. They were invited to the multilateral forum when Pakistan, I think, until 2025, October 2025. But Pakistan, there is when the comparison was done. Whenever Pakistan get closer to Afghan Taliban, whenever there were more visits to Kabul, or these Talibans were conducting visit to Islamabad, so there was a perpendicular rise in the terrorist activities inside Pakistan. So Pakistan, I think, not only bilaterally tried to engage Taliban, I think at every level, Pakistan has also offered them a pre-trade agreement. Pakistan has offered them special incentives for the transit activities and trade activities. But when they
Hassan,
did not
I'm sorry, Hassan, we're out of time. It's been wonderful to talk to you and listen to everything. Thank you very much for your time. And that brings us to the end of today's conversation, where I looked at Pakistan's push for diplomacy and insisting military operations alone cannot end the threat of cross-border terrorism from Afghanistan. The future will depend on whether Islamabad can rebuild security cooperation with Kabul without meaningful action against the terror groups by Afghanistan. The cycle of violence risks continuing on both sides of the border. Thank you to Hassan Khan, security and political analyst, for sharing your insights. And as always, here on One Voice, we aim to cut through the noise and bring in the stories that matter from the voices that know. And if you missed any part of today's show, be sure to go to our YouTube channel, Asia One News. Until next time, I'm Craig Vermay. Thank you for watching One Voice.